up, everyone? Welcome to the Top Tenner Show. I'm Liv.
And I'm James. Have you ever had a game that just made you throw your controller in frustration, made you immediately return it, or just flat out quit the game? We have, and this week Liv and I are sharing the 10 games that made us quit, or in gamers' terms, rage quit.
Let's dive into our top 10 video games that we think sucked.
Starting things off at number 10, we have the anthropomorphic character Bubsy in his first venture into 3D with Bubsy 3D. Released for the PlayStation in October 1996, this was supposed to be the game to keep the series going as everyone was still vying to have the best animal mascot. Let me just say, it failed in all aspects, spectacularly so. Just listen to the voice acting from this game if you don't believe me. Players take charge of Bubsy as he collects atoms and rocket parts in order to escape the planet Rayon. What follows is only what can be described as a fever dream, as each level is devoid of life and the only entertaining mechanic is the jump, and even then, it's bad. I originally picked this game up for $3 in the bargain bin at my local base exchange. Think Walmart on an Air Force base. And I thought, I gotta steal with that price. It took me less than 30 minutes to realize the real reason this game was $3 and I couldn't even get my money back. It was horrible. Like, why would you even make this game? Thankfully though, platformers followed in the footsteps of Mario 64, as we didn't have to see a whole host of Bubsy 3D clones, because I just might have quit gaming if that was the case.
James got this game for $3 and is still complaining about it. That has to be a really, really bad game. Number 9 on our list is a game I gave up after 20 hours, which is Immortal Fenyx Rising. This open world game felt like a parody of Assassin's Creed Odyssey and a poor man's version of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's an Ubisoft game after all, so the world is filled with repetitive quests and challenges. Ubisoft is a popular company, and I haven't played a handful of their games, so I wanted to see why people are into them. Well, I couldn't figure that out after my time with Immortal Fenyx Rising. I did like the art style of this game, but the dialogue was bland in my opinion, and I couldn't get into the story. I mainly play games for the narrative, and I will look past weaker gameplay if the story is great. Immortal Fenyx Rising did score an 81 Metacritic score, so it does appear I'm in the minority with the take on my ditching this game. If you're watching our video today and are a fan of the game, tell me what I'm missing out on. Should I give it another chance?
Ubisoft, they really tried with this game, and I appreciate that. However, I cannot recommend this to anyone with how bad it was. I will also say, Liv just said she plays games for narrative, so she might be playing a JRPG here soon, and I'm throwing that into the ether. Mwahaha. At number 8, we have the first game I ever quit. Heck, this is the first game I yeeted my controller in frustration. Thankfully, I do not do that anymore, as controllers today are ridiculously expensive, and that is Aero the Acrobat. This one, I will chalk up to me only being 7 years old when I got the game. The gameplay loop essentially has you doing various tasks throughout the levels. Think flying through hoops, standing on platforms till they vanish, or riding roller coasters, and a whole host of other circus-themed challenges. Sounds easy, right? Not so much for my younger self, as I repeatedly died for what felt like an eternity back in the day, and there's random spikes also in the levels for no reason, because circuses have spikes and they'll kill you instantly. I will never forget, after what felt like my 1000th death in a row, I yeeted my Super Nintendo controller at the wall of my room. I proceeded to miss horribly, and instead of hitting the wall, it flew out into the hallway and pulled my console off the shelf with it. I never again tried that game, although now that I'm older, I think I kind of need to go back, beat this game, and close that chapter in my gaming history.
I remember this game. I don't recall being that frustrated, but I found the gameplay loop to be kind of boring. With the 7th spot on our list, we have Back 4 Blood. This was initially a game I was excited about. Back 4 Blood is considered the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead. There is a unique distinction between these two games though. In Back 4 Blood, they introduced a card system. By building your deck, you can modify your health, damage, and stamina. Everything else seems to be a lateral move. There wasn't any real upgrade to combat or the structure of the narrative and its characters. To me, it's just another first-person shooter zombie game. Don't we have enough of these already? You can play this game with friends, which is definitely more fun than playing alone. Maybe that will help you get through this game. Honestly, I would just stay with Left 4 Dead, as Back 4 Blood is just an overpriced version of this game. It's just a reskinned version of Left 4 Dead.
Zombie shooters need an overhaul, and this was a step back instead of a step forward. At number 6, we have arguably the most polarizing Final Fantasy game of all time, and that is Final Fantasy.
Not another Final... Wait, you quit this? Okay, it's definitely allowed on the list. Tell me why.
Not only did I quit this game, this was the only game I have ever traded into GameStop. Seriously, I have close to 1,000 games, Team Physical collecting and all that. This game has the most amazing intro cinematic in the Final Fantasy universe. It opens up to the Kingdom of Rubrum being invaded. We see Bahamut blasting airships out of the sky. We see a chocobo get slain. And if you know about chocobos, that is like the ultimate sin. It is insane how amazing this opening was. After that, though, the rails fell off in the worst of ways, at least for me. I do know a lot of people enjoyed this game, so just remember, this is my perspective. The game, it's an action RPG that honestly felt hollow for me. I completed the first mission, and after that, I didn't load up the game again. It felt like a jarring shock from what I was used to with Final Fantasy. I will say that this was the first one I attempted to play since Final Fantasy XII, so maybe my thoughts about what makes a Final Fantasy game exceptional clouded my judgment. I think maybe now that I've gotten back into console gaming, and you'll hear why with that, it may deserve another chance. So I will leave it at this. If you feel this is one I should try again, please let me know in the comments.
I'm so proud of James for dissing on a Final Fantasy game. Fifth on our list is a game called the Miasma Chronicles. This game visually looked really cool. I really liked the art design. I picked this game up because I was looking for a turn-based combat game. To be fair, I did enjoy the combat in this game. Where the Miasma Chronicles lost me was with the narrative and the dialogue. You play as Elvis, who is looking for his mother, who has disappeared behind the miasma wall. His mom left a robot named Diggs to take care of him. The dialogue in this game is so cringy. Diggs keeps calling Elvis his little brother, which was cute at first until it was included in nearly every sentence. I understand the miasma is a mysterious force we're dealing with here, but that doesn't need to be said a million times in a row either. Again, I'd like to say I thought the art style was cool and the combat was good, but I just couldn't listen to the dialogue and I couldn't care about these characters because of it. I think I gave this game a fair chance as I played for roughly 10 hours, but it just didn't click with me.
I feel like the games you quit, Liv, you give the good old college try, and the ones I quit happen insanely fast. Reference, yeeted Super Nintendo controller. Maybe I should sink a few more hours into a game before making my decision. At number 4, we have the game that kept me away from console gaming from 2005 through 2012, and that is World of Warcraft. When this game first came out, I was hooked, and then World of Warcraft proceeded to keep those hooks in me for 7 years straight. Building upon the Warcraft universe, this game is the quintessential definition of an MMORPG. As a player, you could choose to be either a member of one of the races of the Horde or the Alliance, each with its own distinct advantages and disadvantages as you race to the level cap. What makes this game amazing, though, was the constant work developers poured into it week in and week out. I'm looking at you, current live service games. WoW is still here. Take note, replicate, do what they do. And honestly, for me, the camaraderie that I found in guilds as I attempted 20-man and 40-man raids, and then eventually 10 or 25-man raids, that was so much fun. The teamwork needed to conquer raid dungeons, get new loot, and just enjoy time with friends is what hooked me. It wasn't until I realized I had close to 2 full years of logged game time, 10 characters maxed out in level, gear, and professions, and the fact I was working 40 hours a week along with raiding 40 hours a week, that I needed to quit this game for my sanity's and health's sake. World of Warcraft is still around today, however. I'm not going to log back into that addicting game.
MMOs require too much effort. How are you supposed to play any other game if MMOs take up all of your time? That's truly my biggest gripe. At number 3, we have We Happy Few. This game had an interesting narrative, but I couldn't get into the gameplay. We Happy Few takes place in a retro-futuristic 1960s during an alternate version of World War II. Society, as we know it, is on the edge of collapsing as everyone is abusing hallucinogenic drugs that keeps people unaware of what's really going on. One of the opening scenes has you thinking you're about to partake in a lavish meal, but if you don't ingest the drugs, then you find out you're eating rats. Where the game didn't click with me was the stealth sections and the survival mechanics. That's on me though, because I didn't do my research before playing. I suck at stealth, and I don't usually enjoy survival games. When the main premise of the game is to escape, it was silly of me not to expect the stealth sections, but stealth and survival mechanics at the same time? That's too much for me to manage, I'm sorry. This time, I will admit, maybe I didn't give this game a fair chance as I only played 3 hours of it. However, I'm not alone as this game has received mixed reviews.
I feel like I need to recommend all the stealth games now and see how fast you quit.
I might quit before it begins.
At our number 2 spot this week, I'm gonna channel my inner Liv here. We have another Final Fantasy game. James, is this all you pick? And that is Final Fantasy VIII.
I would definitely have an issue with another Final Fantasy. Wait, I don't sound like that.
Got you again. But seriously, I won't take up too much time with this piece of work. Final Fantasy VIII was the game I picked up immediately after my first playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, as I couldn't get enough of the RPG series, and after about 6 hours of trying to will myself to play this game, I quit. Gave the game to a friend in exchange for some Pokemon cards and called it a day. The junction system was janky, the leveling system busted, and the graphics were that of a potato. Actually, no, that is doing injustice to potatoes everywhere. The graphics were nightmare fuel. I know for some this was an amazing game, but for the life of me, I could never power through it.
James included another Final Fantasy game on this list? Do I even have the right co-host this week? The number 1 game on our list is a game I've tried to play 2 separate times to see if it would get any better, which is Dying Light 2. I played this game online with my partner on launch day, which is probably mistake number 1. Online games on launch almost never work these days. We would get disconnected after a few minutes. Fine, no big deal. We'll wait a few days. We experienced a game-breaking bug, which ultimately why we had to put this game down. There's a safe house in the game where you have to move a bookcase to get into. It is the only way in and out of the safe house. Well, if you died near it, you would respawn inside the room and cannot move the bookcase because it's on the outside of the safe room. We tried inviting people into our game to see if they would spawn on the outside and could move the bookcase for us. No dice. Only option was to roll back our save. This happened to us 3 times, so we dropped it. But I really liked the first game and I wanted to play this one, so I tried playing again solo. I didn't experience any of the game-breaking bugs, however, there was just so many fetch quests and I felt that the world was too big for its own good. Not every game needs to be gigantic for the purpose of being gigantic. It is seemingly a waste. I will say, I think I gave this game a fair chance. I played about 30 hours in my 2 attempts. My recommendation, stick to the first game. Another week, another tie. We both had 5 games that we couldn't get through, but I'm surprised that James included not 1, but 2 Final Fantasy games on the list this week. I didn't ever expect to hear him say something negative about Final Fantasy.
Even the greatest of franchises can get it wrong a couple times, and what do you know, they did just a couple.
That is so big of you. It seems almost historic that James didn't enjoy a Final Fantasy game, don't you think?
Don't count your chickens before they hatch, Liv. I promise there will be more Final Fantasy to follow.
But not this week. Thank you for watching today's video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Top 10er Show for new video game top 10 lists every Friday. Next week, we will be diving into our top 10 Mario Kart courses.